Hello, I'm Kevin O'Hare in the Office of Assessment Accountability's Division of Assessment Accountability Support. I would like to welcome everyone to the Fall 2020 Back to School updates specific to the Kentucky Alternate Assessment. Our focus today for this session will be on the alternate K-Prep. As many of you are aware, the Kentucky Alternate Assessment makes up what is often referred to as the 1% population, or students with severe cognitive disabilities. That includes all components: placement, instruction, assessment, accountability, transition. I'm sure there's something I'm forgetting to mention. The alternate K-Prep makes up the assessment for our students via the Attainment Task and the Transition Attainment Record. The first thing I want to discuss today are the changes coming this school year. It was decided over the summer that the Alternate Assessment and Accountability folder, or AAAF, will no longer be required at the state level. This does permit a district to continue requesting the folder if they choose to, but this is something that KDE will no longer utilize as a monitoring tool. The next change that will be implemented for the 2020-2021 school year is that social studies will now be administered at grade 11. In the past, social studies was administered at grade 12. However, to better align with the general assessments and the results from the survey that was conducted back in January, the change was a combination of both. Another change this year was the release of the alternate assessment targets for reading, mathematics, writing, and social studies. I want to emphasize that these are not alternate assessment standards. These are Kentucky academic standards that may or may not contain an alternate assessment target. If you are wondering what an alternate assessment target is, that is a limit in depth and breadth to a standard for assessment purposes only. So in other words, these targets just apply to the development of assessment items. The intention, as it always has been, is to teach the Kentucky academic standard. And the last area of change for this school year is that we will be conducting an operational field test in 2021. An operational field test means that the assessment will be conducted using field tested items that have went through many reviews to try and eliminate any issues or concerns around content alignment that would create any types of issues. These items will be used for accountability as long as an accountable assessment is conducted in the spring of 2021. To learn more about each of these topics, you can click the information on this slide with the live link, and it will direct you to the presentation where it was shared this summer. The announcement around the standards and targets were released for reading and mathematics in May. All other announcements came in a special alternate assessment email on June the 18th. Another area that will be new this fall is that a new registration to the online system will be required for all DACs, DOEs, district alternate assessment contacts, and teachers who will work with the Kentucky Alternate Assessment this year. This site houses the online training system, or OTS, the student registration database, or SRD, which houses scores for Attainment Tasks, Transition Attainment Records, and the Quality of School Climate and Safety Survey. It also will provide access to the Career Readiness Database, or CRD, which houses information for the Employability Skills Attainment Record, or ESAR, and the Career Work Experience Certification, or CWEC. One of the primary reasons behind this new registration requirement has been the overwhelming number of security breaches and hacking instances over the past year or two to secure sites. This site has not been involved in any security breaches to date that KD is aware of. However, it seems that since society has become largely dependent on technology the past several months, the number of cyber attacks have continued to rise. The implementation of the process for everyone to register in the system not only gives us a clear idea of who is still working and who has since retired, no longer teaching, etc. The main priority, though, is to make sure all of our information is safe and secure. This registration process will take less than 5 minutes to complete and will be worth every minute as we continue to stand strong against online security issues. A secure password, along with a selection of security questions, will be mandatory for everyone who registers in this online system. Please be looking for more information to be released in the next couple of weeks around the registration process through Monday DAC emails and alternate assessment emails. Now that we have covered the new changes for the upcoming school year, let's turn our attention to the layout for the assessment trainings. The first training that we should always mention is the administration code and the inclusion of special populations regulation trainings. Both of these trainings will be required for anyone who administers the alternate K-Prep. This year, due to the operational field test not occurring until later in the year, we have pushed back the training dates for the overview and attainment task training. The first training for this year will be for high school teachers who administer the Transition Attainment Record, or TAR. That training will release on October 5th. The Overview Attainment Task training will release November 2nd. Typically, most years, that is when it ends. It will remain open from November 2nd until February 10th. This training is required for any teacher who will administer the operational field test, attainment task, in February and April 2021. As we noted on slide 4, the TAR will be the first training released this fall. It is required for all Kentucky alternate assessment students at grade 11 and takes the place of the state-mandated ACT for alternate assessment students. The TAR is made available to students at grade 12 who may not have reached the benchmark of 19 in reading, 16 in mathematics, and 16 in science on the grade 11 attempt. For any student who stays past grade 12, what we refer to as grade 14, those students may also attempt the TAR if the benchmark has not been met. The TAR training and administration is set to open October 5th and remain open until May the 28th. Slide 6 demonstrates the TAR assessment that will be administered this year. Basically, the TAR will look the same as it has the past 3 years. Next year, in 2021-2022, the TAR will change only for grade 11 students. This slide represents the changes over the next 3 years. The former assessment standards mean the TAR is based on the TAR we assessed the past 3 years plus. Now that we have discussed the TAR for the 2020-2021 school year, let's take a look at the Attainment Task Administration. Just a few reminders to share out before we start. The first, is noted on slide 2, is that we will conduct an operational field test this year. It will be part of accountability, and it will remain 2 testing windows. Slide 8 focuses on the content areas that will be assessed at the elementary level. One thing to note is that many schools have a different grade configuration. So your school may not be a 3 through 5 grade span. It may be a 3 through 6 or a 3 through 4. The 3 through 5 grade span is used at the state level, as that is how district accountability is represented. Slide 9 reflects the required content areas being assessed at middle school. Slide 10 looks at the high school content areas to be assessed. If you will note in red, grade 9 and grade 12 no longer have attainment tasks administered at those grades. The operational field test will still consist of 2 testing windows. However, instead of the traditional fall and spring testing window, the timelines have changed this year. Testing window 1 will open February 15th and run until March 26th. During this window, there will be 15 items per content area that will focus on standards 1 through 5 for reading, mathematics, social studies, and writing. Science will still be assessed on standards 1 through 3, as those standards did not change this year. And actually, I need to correct myself. Writing will also just consist of 6 standards. So for writing and science, window 1 will focus on standards 1 through 3. The window 2 assessment will open April 19th and run until May 28th. During this window, there will be 15 items per content area that will focus on standards 6 through 10 for reading, mathematics, social studies. Science and writing will still be assessed on standards 4 through 6. May 28th will end all assessments for the alternate K-Prep, with the last day to enter scores set to close June 4th in the SRD. Materials will ship and arrive based on the timeline shared on slide 12. Materials for Window 1 are expected to arrive in the district sometime the week of February 1st through the 5th. For Window 2, we will continue to offer options that we have in the past based on the concept that spring breaks will still be available. In early March, districts will be asked to select shipping option 1 or 2 based on when they will take spring break. Materials for Window 2, the first option, will ship the week of March 29th, and Window 2, the second option, will ship the week of April 5th. Slide 13 shares the proposed dates for the 2020-2021 school year. As noted in the past, these dates may be subject to change due to circumstances beyond the control of KDE. For any questions that you have regarding the information shared in today's presentation, please feel free to email me at kevin.o'hare@education.ky.gov or KDE DAC information listed on this slide. Feel free to call 502-564-4394 at any time. This concludes the back to school updates for the Kentucky Alternate Assessment, Alternate K-Prep. Thank you for your time today and for everything you do to serve the students across Kentucky. It is through your hard work and dedication that any of this is possible. Have a great day.